Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. I'm so happy you're able to join me tonight, and I have a couple of fun cards to show you, so I'm pretty excited about that. So, we are still using our Softly Sophisticated stamp set. This is week 3, and I'm going to show you a couple of techniques tonight that you can do with your stamping. You could do this with any stamp set or any project that you're working on, any type of designer series paper. It's up to you, but we'll be using these stamps tonight. I'm going to put them right here. The first technique that I'm going to show you is a way that you can cut your designer series paper and you end up with 2 cards out of it. And they're just, one you have the negative showing and the positive, I guess is how I'll say it. And then of course our stamping. So that will be our first project. I'll show you how I created this bar of ink here, bar of color, and then did my stamping on top of that. So I'll be showing you how you can do that as well. So let's get started. So on our first card, we are going to need, let's just get these stamps mounted. We're going to need the hello there. And I'm going to do these cards in using the new in colors. I'm going to be using Boho Blue and Pebble Path. So let's just get our blocks that we need here. And then we'll be good to go. So that's all we need for this card. So let's just set all of this aside. And let me get our paper out and I'll tell you what you need for paper for this, for these 2 cards. All right, let me just look at my notes. So you are going to need some basic white thick cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, and then you are going to need some 2 little pieces of basic white cardstock that measures 2 by 2 3/4. We're going to do our stamping on that. You're going to need some Boho Blue cardstock, and you'll need 2 pieces since we're making the 2 cards, and they measure 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then you're going to need 2 pieces to mount the basic white cardstock, and that measures 2 1/4 by 3 inches. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of designer series paper. I'm using the exact same designer series paper for this card, and it measures 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so let's start with our stamping. We'll get that part over first. So let me just move all of this over here. So we have our 2 pieces of, and I'm going to start with Pebbled Path, and I'm going to be stamping the leaves and the vine using the Pebbled Path. There we go. And that's all we need the Pebbled Path for. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm so glad you're here. Make sure you say hello in the chat and tell me where you're watching from. I always love to know where everyone is coming from. So now I'm going to take the Boho Blue and I'm just going to line this up so it stamps right where I want it to stamp. And I'll do the same over here. This is the real advantage of using the photopolymer stamps because it does let you line them up very easily. I'm going to keep the Boho Blue out, and I'm going to very carefully only ink up the hello. And I'm just going to make sure I don't get any ink on that little piece there. And then I'm going to stamp the hello right at the bottom. So you just have to be careful as you're inking it up. It is easy to get a little ink on this little piece that's coming through. Kind of meets over with the hello. And let's stamp the second one. There we go. That is all of the stamping we will need to do tonight for these cards. So I am going to adhere both of these to those pieces of Boho blue cardstock. There's one. And here is number 2. Good. Now, for these 2 pieces, what you need to do is together, because we want the cut here to be the same. And what I want, so here's what I want you to think about. I want to, when I cut this, I want to be able to turn this over. And so to turn it over, I'm going to have to match them like this. So I can take this piece and put here, and this piece to put with that. So I'm going to turn them just like that. And I'm going to take out my paper cutter. I have no specific measurement that I'm using. I am just going to cut a diagonal off. So I just want to line up that bottom point. There we go. And now I can put this piece with this and this piece with that, and they fit perfectly. So now I'm going to be attaching these to the Boho blue. It's a really easy way to add some interest to your card and to make a couple cards that are a little bit different, but not 100, but the design is exactly the same. So I'm going to place that right there, and then we'll put some adhesive on here. It was so nice. We got to see the sun today in New Hampshire, which just was beautiful. So here's the first piece with it, and because the color coordinates in the cardstock package, this is from the Flight and Airy Designer Series paper, it really makes a nice, it just coordinates so well together with these beautiful colors. This is probably my favorite Designer Series paper in the mini catalog, but, I like it all, I guess I should say. Okay, so we'll put that there, and then this piece is going to go right there. So the trick to this is that you have to turn those, have the pieces be on opposite sides when you put them together. So we have our 2 backgrounds all set. So now let's fold these 2 pieces of cardstock. And we'll just adhere this to the front. So in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have 2 beautiful cards. So just a reminder, in case anyone's new tonight, Simply Stamping Sunday for me is a time when I stamp, and I only use stamps, ink, and paper. And then, of course, tools like my paper cutter and all of that. But basically, it is just stamps, ink, and paper. Getting back to just the basics with our stamping. You can make beautiful cards using just those 3 items. And that's what my goal is each week. Each month, I use the same stamp set so that you get to see a lot of great ideas by the end of the month. And this month we've been using the Softly Sophisticated. It's my favorite, well, one of my favorite stamp sets from the Celebration catalog. I love getting stuff for free, and especially when I know I'm going to spend the money anyway. It's nice to be able to get some stamp sets and paper for free, and just for doing what I would normally do every month is placing some orders. If you need to place an order, make sure you use the link that is on my page, on my Facebook page, or contact me and I will help you get an order. Celebration goes through the end of February. So here we go. Those are our 2 first cards of the evening. All right, let me set those aside and let's go for our next card. So this card, let me just remind you of what we're doing. It's going to be some pretty basic stamping. I've done quite a few layers here. I'm definitely a layer girl, and I want to show you how we're going to go about doing this. So let's go over our measurements. You're going to need a piece of thick basic white cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5. And then I'm also using a piece of thick white cardstock here as well that measures 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. I want the thick because I'm going to be putting some water on it, so I want it to be sturdy. I'm going to use a piece of Highland Heather cardstock that measures 3.5 by 4 3/4, and then a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so I am going to take, we're going to start with our Pool Party ink, and I am going to take my block and I am going to ink it up. Now this puts, let's see, I don't know if you can see it clearly, this puts a lot of ink on our ink pad, on our stamp block. So I am just going to go right on my note sheet, and I'm going to stamp it off. There we go. You can see what happens. I get kind of a spotted kind of, ink there. But what I'm going to do, there is still ink on here. I am going to take a water spritzer. Any type of water spritzer will do. Try to put it on the finest setting you can, and I'm going to spray the stamp. And that is going to activate any ink that's left there. And when I go and stamp, it's going to leave that color behind. And you can see there's quite a bit of it there. Now, I could use my heat tool and dry this, heat set it. I could use a hair set it, and that's what I am going to do. So it's almost dry. I just want it to be dry when I go to start stamping again. So while that's finishing drying, let me close my Pool Party ink. We're going to be using Gorgeous Grape and Lost Lagoon ink on this card. So I'm going to fold it and score it. I am going to start by putting just my piece of basic white cardstock. I'm going to layer it on the front just for an additional layer. There we go. And this is going to be layered on to this piece. Okay, it is pretty dry now. So we are going to need, out of our stamp set, the other floral image. So we'll take that out, the flowers and this. We're going to be using the Hello There stamp, so I don't need to do any changes there. But let me just put these on a block. There we go. And I'm going to start by stamping the vine and leaves, and I'm going to do that twice. There we go. And I am actually going to take our Hello There and ink it up. And I am going to stamp that off to the side, in between where the two sets of vines are. And then we're going to stamp in our flowers. So let's just ink that up so that it is going to go into the right place. So I just have to line them up with where there we go. There's the first set of flowers. And now the second set of flowers. What I'm lining up, which makes it is the easiest for me, is the little buds. So now this is going to go onto our piece of Highland Heather cardstock. And then I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of it. Let's take these off. And this is going to go right on to the front of our card. And there we go. And that's that card for tonight. So in this short period of time, we have made 3 different cards tonight. So cool, so quick, and they're all a little different and very, I think, classy and elegant. So thank you so much for joining me tonight for Simply Stamping Sunday. I will be back next Sunday with the last edition of Softly Sophisticated Stamping, and of course of Fun Fold Friday. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you soon. Good night, everybody.